Do you get yourself concerned early in the season if the team gets off to a good start or a poor start? Because I'm of the belief this is a phase environment. You're going to go through the first 2.5 months of evaluation, then you'll start to see guys settle in, and then come maybe toward the end of July, you really start to focus on whether A, you're in this thing, and B, what are you going to need for the stretch?
Or June 14th, Flag Day.
Yes, Flag Day is also important. There's no doubt about that.
So until Flag Day, I don't get too concerned. I mean,
I finally got you leaning in that direction after all these years.
You don't want to lose all the games. Like yesterday, that was the perfect game to be tied. The Mets hadn't won in 10 games with 3 ties, and the Cardinals had 1 win in like 13 games with 3 ties. So that surely was going to be a tie game. So I think just playing better, and they played better yesterday. They played very poorly, I thought, the 2 games before that.
And this is a situation where they're still trying to figure each other out. Let's talk about the division for a second. I know you've been here a great deal at the time. Everybody wants to anoint the Cubs as the champions of the world. They still have to go out and play like the Cardinals do. Injuries do come into play more now because everybody's watching them. How do you think this thing is going to shake out? And can, once again, you have all 3 teams find themselves in postseason?
I think you can, because the Brewers and Reds aren't going to be very good, and you play more games inside your division than outside your division. The most important question to me is, how can the Cubs play as favorites? They're not the lovable little bears anymore now. They're favored to win 1,000 games this year, let alone 100. And let's see if that pressure gets to them or not. They didn't have any pressure last year. They were just coming from behind, and they got to the playoffs. They did well in the playoffs until they got to the Mets, and the Mets exposed them a little bit. So let's see how they do as the front-running horse. Cardinals don't mind being a horse coming from behind. They like that. And Pittsburgh's going to be there.
And we've noticed in the last few years, it's not about winning the division, it's just getting in. We've seen that wild card team, because they've been in playoff mode anyway for 2 or 3 weeks before the season's in, where these teams are already ready to go. And all you have to do is win 163, and then that's when the fun really begins.
Although I suspect Pittsburgh would choose not to play in that game for a 4th consecutive year at home. They'd rather even play on the road, I think, if they had to do that. But because they've had to face Bumgarner and Jake Arrieta the last 2 times. No, thank you.
Commish, how many opening days will this be for you?
Oh, boy. About 43 or 4, I think.